through this extraordinary technology. But I'd like to go ahead and open the City Council meeting for this evening. If you would all please stand with me and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then remain standing for the invocation this evening brought by Councilman Shannon. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we ask this evening that you guide and direct us. We've had so many things happening these last weeks and months, but the most vision that we should have is on you and your direction. We ask for the forgiveness of things that we do that we shouldn't, but we want to make sure that we give you the honor and glory for all things. We pray that all people here tonight will be blessed, and that they will arrive safely home. We give you the honor and glory for all things, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Well, the first order of business this evening is pretty exciting for me. It is the installation of our new council person. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Christine Brake for our city clerk. Huh? Oh, you need the microphone.
I didn't know I was supposed to sing.
Can you get a picture from there? Yeah. Okay. All right, Mark, if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Mark McMahon, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties as a public official of the city of Bonner Springs, Kansas. So help me God. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm glad. So I'm right under 40 years from living in Bonner Springs, and just watching the town grow, right? You know, I moved in '86, and I stayed, got married to Gina here in '88. She's a Bonner grad from '87, so she's been around for a minute. But anyway, I love the city, and I'm excited to do the best I can for the citizens of Bonner Springs and for our municipalities as well.
Very good. Thank you very much. Exciting. And our next presentation is a citizens commendation. Chief?
We had tonight is we want to, the police department has an awards program that we do internally. The benefit to this award specifically, or recognition that we do, is it's from the officers. So they're out there, they're the ones working, they're the ones that get to see who's helping, who's not, and making the biggest impact for us. Mr. Garza is the general manager at the Holiday Inn, and Mr. Garza has been willing to assist in criminal investigations and has been a witness and or a reporting party to countless narcotic crimes, domestic violence cases, and other sex crimes that have occurred in the Holiday Inn facility. Specifically on July 8th, 2022, Mr. Garza provided detailed information that led to several traffic stops of 2 different vehicles, one of which was stolen. As a result of that stop, we were able to recover a large quantity of cocaine, a large quantity of methamphetamine, a large quantity of stolen bank cards, approximately $1,300 in cash, and 2 people who were arrested for various felony warrants all over the metropolitan area. So on behalf of the Bonner Springs Police Department and the City of Bonner Springs, we'd like to thank Mr. Garza for his assistance. We're only successful at the community's calling, so we appreciate your assistance, sir.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes. That's wonderful. And our next presentation is our award for the community of all ages, Recreation Department. Hey, she's going to do the talking. You want me to hold it?
Sure.
Come up. You get to shake her hand.
Hi, I'm Kathy Boyer-Schussel. I'm with the Mid-America Regional Council, and it's on behalf of the Mid-America Regional Council and the First Suburbs Coalition, which we developed this program with, pleased to present Bonner Springs with the bronze level recognition for the Communities for All Ages program. This is a program that was developed 10 years ago to help cities begin to address the forever higher percentage of older adults that will be a part of your residence going forward. So congratulations again to the city, and we look forward to working the next 2 phases with you.
Very good. Thank you.
I just want to thank my support team here from the park board. We also have a couple of members from the planning commission that's helping with the gain the silver level, hopefully. Also, thank you to city staff who's going to be a part of that next step as we pursue this. So thank you.
Very good. Congratulations. All right. Moving along to the
Second.
So moved by Mr. Reeves and seconded by Mr. Shannon.
Long? Yes. Stevens?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. McMahon?
Yes.
Hip?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. On to new business, the first of which is codes violation administrative citation appeal for 820 North Nettleton Avenue. Staff?
I have a codes violation for 820 North Nettleton. It's for a dangerous building, for a dangerous building and structure. You may go through when everything was issued and everything. On August 4th, a violation courtesy letter was mailed to the owner. September 1st, an administrative citation was issued for the property. October 4th, another administrative citation was issued for the property. November 15th, another administrative citation was issued. And December 19th was the latest administrative citation issued on the property.
So from the December 19th administrative citation, we have an appeal request for the administrative citation on the 820 North Nettleton Avenue property. Are there pictures? We have some pictures. The 820 North Nettleton was for the bricks falling off the side of the building for nuisance codes, bricks falling off the side of the building and not being a secure structure. All of the entrances need to be boarded up and secured so nobody can get in, and then the bricks around the building would need to be secured and cleaned up. So that's what the nuisance code violations that led to the administrative citation are for this property. And the owner is here. They requested the appeal.
Very good. Mr. Tyner, do you have any? Yes.
Well, my name is Guy Tyner. I don't remember when, but probably October, we re-roofed that building and started painting the front of it and started cleaning that thing up, and they stole our shingles and stole our ladders and stuff like that. And I'm a small company, and it's hard to keep those things up when that much is happening. I think the city has done very well at trying to watch that thing and make that happen. But it has a brand new roof on it. We did that so that it wouldn't go downhill any further. And the back part of this does need to be torn off. I'd like for you guys to waive the fines and let me set a schedule to get that thing fixed up. And I know that we've had several things. I've been out of service for a short while and haven't been able. When did they start citing me on it? Do you remember? Did you say October?
August.
Officially, it was August, the first notice that you got for the nuisance code violation.
August 4th was the courtesy letter that I sent to you on that. And it's for 10 days, but I actually gave you till the next month on the 1st was the first administrative citation for it.
Well, I should have responded to those things, and I got it. My wife has all those stacked up there and told me about it, but I actually was in Baser, and we were finishing some houses in Baser, and I fell off a wall up there in Baser, and it kind of messed me up for about 3 months. So it kind of took me out of the game. That's not an excuse, because
When did you have your accident, Mr. Tyner? When did you have your accident, Mr. Tyner?
September.
September.
So I was notified, but a lot of excuses.
But yeah, but these aren't things that started in August, so they've been concerns for quite some time.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that, we re-roofed that building. We started tuck point in the front of it and got it down, and we got kind of robbed. In fact, the Wyandotte County, they caught some of the people, and they paid me back for some of the stuff that was gone. But it's hard to. If you have a lot, you're supposed to do a lot. and I've been doing a lot, but I haven't got it all taken care of. We actually, on this next thing, getting into it, we were working with the city to actually do a phase 4, 5, and 6 in Lee Valley, and we got put on hold. And I tried to talk to the planning department at that time and asked them if they would give us some time. It takes a lot of money to hold on to as much property as I have and do as many things as I do. And when you stub your toe, it really kind of makes a ripple effect all the way through.
What are your plans and schedule to complete and correct this?
If you want to, I'm probably going to have to start selling some stuff.
What are specifically your plans to correct this?
I have 3 people that have talked to me about that building, and I put them off because I didn't want to move forward with it at that time.
So you don't have any schedule right now to correct
I
these?
don't, but I can make a schedule. And if the money's going to be spent, it should be spent on fixing that building and making the building go ahead. I don't know where the money would go for the fine. I'm not saying you guys shouldn't have the right, because if I'm a citizen of this community, I own a lot of property here. And I want the same things you guys want for this community.
Very good.
So I want you guys to do your job.
I'd like to come up and say, don't do your job, but I think you should do your job because it benefits all of us.
But we're trying.
It's hard to, well, everything's an excuse today because it's hard to get help. It's hard to finish jobs. When I fell off the building over there, I have $200,000, $600,000 houses up in Baser that sit up there for 2.5 months because I couldn't get to it and I couldn't get people to finish them. Now, today, we carpeted one of them, we plumbed one of them, and we're getting back in the swing of things. But I own too much property. I mean, that's bad to say to somebody.
I'm
manage.
just going to try and keep you roped in to right now to this 820 North Nettleton and
I will
unsafe
make a
building.
plan and present it at the next council meeting on what I'll do with that building and how I'll get it done. I want to spend the money on that building and stuff that I got.
Mr.
keep
Tyner,
it up.
just out of curiosity, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir. Just out of curiosity, there is an adjacent building behind it that looks like a small duplex, okay? Where are we on that? I know the emphasis has been on this particular building, but what?
More excuses. I went to Bryant Hunt and I made a petition to him to redo that building and have a duplex there so that we could, it takes, I don't know exactly what the taxes are, probably $2,000 on that building, and I own all the way to the next corner. But I wanted to make that duplex into a duplex and keep it going because eventually that duplex has probably got to go. It's got to go. The other things with that corner, the sewer is not up there right now. The sewer is all the way down at Metropolitan, and on the north side of Metropolitan, I own a little white house there, and the city had it. But the city had that house there, and they had it for 5, 6 years. I purchased that house. We re-roofed it. We rebuilt it. We got it together. It's been in service ever since that time. I wanted to do the same thing with the duplex. It couldn't happen because if you have the guy that sold it to me, and I'm not blaming him because I could have done the research and found out, but once a building hadn't been occupied for that use, it no longer has that use anymore. So I bought buildings that I couldn't do what I wanted to do with, but I could have researched that. And I went to the city at that time, applied for a electrical permit to get electricity in there so I could start rebuilding that duplex, but that's been like 4 years ago. And if you're talking about $500 a month per side, that's $1,000. That's $12,000 a year. At 4 years, is $50,000. That goes a long ways. I pay a couple $100,000 in taxes into Wyandotte County, and it's hard for an individual to do if you don't make everything produce and work. And I'm not asking you guys to break the rules, but there's no reason we should have had that duplex like the one across the street the city had. I had to completely re-roof it, re-plumb it, re-electrical, re-insulate it, re-furnace it, and everything else. And people have been living in there for 10 years, and it's been productive.
Okay, I'm gonna organize this one more time.
Roll me back.
We're going to roll you back. What are you asking specifically the council to do concerning this Metropolitan and Nettleton, 820 North Nettleton building that has the unsafe building violations against it now since September?
I'm asking you to waive the the penalties, and give me 6 weeks to come up with a plan. And if that doesn't happen, then you can put the fees back on. I'll pay the fees and sell what I
Mr.
got.
Mayor, can I ask a question of staff?
Please.
Mr. Stites, when the first citation went, I know that wasn't the start of the process. I assume you had reached out to Mr. Tyner.
I'm sorry?
Well, I'm asking Mr. Stites. You'd probably reached out prior to that point in time. Do you have an approximate date how soon, before, what the time frame was before that first citation went out?
Probably 8 months to a year.
So he's had 8 months to a year prior to that first citation, administration citation coming out. And nothing happened during that time frame, right?
It got re-roofed. The front got tuck pointed, and the painting was done at the beginning of that period.
But I think what he's asking is about the administrative portion of it, for
Oh,
the
I'm
dangerous
sorry.
portion of it, not just the roof and the painting and stuff like that.
All right. Any other questions or concerns for staff or the individual? Seeing none, thank you very much. I will now entertain a motion to adopt a resolution. And you'll need to state that resolution.
What are our options, Mr. Mayor? So
Staff?
the options on this one would be to, you could continue the hearing for another council meeting, in which that would give him time to address the concerns, and then you could pass a resolution at that time. You could pass a resolution tonight stating that these violations are founded, that you believe they are violations, and the fees would go along with that, and the ordinance would, or the resolution would state that, yes, these violations will stay on the books as is, the fees will stay on the books as is, and they will have a certain period of time to clean it up before it continues the process.
Do we determine that period of time?
Is it written into the resolution, or is it up to them? It's up, it would be up to you.
But can I ask, how often do the citations come out?
Every 30 days.
Every 3 days?
30.
Oh, 30 days, okay, I'm sorry. Misunderstood you. Yeah, because, Ms. Gurley, I would say I'd hate to waive the current citations. I think the fact that there was 8 months to a year prior, the citations only seem to have encouraging him finally moving forward. I would maybe venture to say or put a moratorium on any further citations for 60 days or 90 days till a plan is presented to the council. I don't know if that would be, we can put that into a resolution form. I don't know if you want to state that, Ms. Gurley?
So you're saying the resolution will would say there has been these violations, and the total citation fee for $1,200 will be postponed for 60 days, and with the remediation of these concerns, the fine will be dismissed?
No, I would say the fine is not going to be waived. I would not waive the fine, but put a moratorium on any further administrative citations being issued for the next 60 to 90 days for a plan. So that way, if we're waiting for another 2 months, he's not now being tagged with another 2 citations of $550 and $650.
Looking at the,
Do we need a motion before we have much discussion, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, it would be best to have a motion and that resolution.
All right, I'm going to put this out here. Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to adopt a resolution that the violations are founded with the fees accumulated to date to be enforced with a 60-day moratorium on any additional fees to allow the owner to come forward with a plan for remediation.
Second.
Did I get it?
Okay, there's been a motion and a second, and let's discuss that motion and second, and we'll start. You had something to say, sir?
well, the 60 days, I'm looking at the, from what Mr. Tice had relayed to us and given us the amount of times, the amount of contacts, and I'm thinking the 60 days, when Mr. Tyner was speaking, he did give us the indication of 30 days. In other words, which would be 2 council meetings. This has gone on for a long time. There has been things that have business owners have spoken on, have people coming into our town have inquired about about the shape of the building and stuff. The duplex in back, that, I would like to add, if at all possible, to include the duplex, because I don't see that as, even though it's not a part adjoining the building, but it is a part of the property itself, and it is a hazard itself.
Is it a separate
Though I have
address?
seen it many times, been boarded up and stuff, but the boards have been removed and stuff.
Is that its own independent address?
Pardon me?
There are two addresses, it's all one parcel.
Okay.
Is there administrative actions on that building?
I think they've been
Lumped all together as one.
grouped together.
So this is being lumped even though there isn't a picture of it itself? Okay, well, I wanted that on record. To conclude, it's basically, I feel like the 30-day moratorium would be appropriate, and then we can work together or whatever, however it works out for everybody. So
You would
asking
prefer,
for
you
a 30-day moratorium.
prefer that, ma'am?
The owner had mentioned that there were roofing and tuck pointing that had been done. Was that done this year, sir, or was that last year, year before?
When was the roofing and the tuck work done? What, roofing and tuck work done? Was that 2 years ago or last year?
About a year and a half ago.
And these code violations and the notices that are clearly seen from the street, and things like that, started when? Earlier this year, or was it last year?
Last year.
Thank you.
Anything? Questions, concerns? Go right ahead.
Nope, touch it again.
Turn, oh, green is on. Green is go. Mr. Tyner, I can't count how many times I've driven by that property, right? And it's unfortunate that you were, let's say you were off the grid momentarily because of your injuries. But you do have staff and you do have personnel. Your business was up and running while you were, unable to work, is that correct?
No, we had a office administrator and we had rental people.
So you weren't able to do that. Would given, just looking at some of the, let's just talk about the aesthetics here. I think that, do you think it's possible to send somebody over as quickly as possible and dress it up and close the windows up, right?
Yeah,
You said you needed 2 months to put a proposal together or a plan, right? But these are things that it appears that you can address immediately. Is that fair?
the windows were all in that building, and in the last 3 months, the windows broke out in the last 3 months.
Right, but the boards and stuff, boarding up the windows is something you can do.
The board in the
rather
back, and the duplex in the back, there's a bigger plan that needs to be done, because if that duplex and that building are gonna be functional, they need a sewer, and the sewer needs to come from Lakewood and Metropolitan, and that sewer needs to come up on the north side of Metropolitan, come up and cross the road there and pick those two buildings. There's problems other than roof and windows.
So you can't get out anytime soon to board up the windows?
Oh, no, we can board up the
That's
windows.
what I'm
We can
asking.
board up the windows and do those things, yes. We boarded the windows in the back.
Rather quickly?
Somehow we got them stopped. We got a couple of people, and we said, you're going to jail if this stuff keeps up. So we've got the people that sleep overnight there, and that kind of stuff has been stopped.
And that speaks to the unsafe building that we need to have
Well, it
those
speaks to
concerns.
the unsafe
addressed.
building.
But we're not gonna be able to, the sewer is another whole issue. Right now, we're talking about the unsafe building at
Yes.
820 North Nettleton. Other questions, concerns, comments concerning this resolution and motion?
So a 30 days would be for a plan.
That's his suggestion, 30
Yeah,
days. The motion or resolution includes a 60-day moratorium on additional fines.
I like the 60-day one simply because it's totally, at this time of year, it's, I think, a very fair.
Very fair.
thing at this time.
I think it appears to be a matter of priority, where I know you're in the business of building new homes for sale, but these have kind of slipped past and are just being allowed to hang out and keep to themselves while you're doing other projects. And I think it's time to shift the priorities to get these. They're eyesores at this point.
I wish
They
I
make the
could've
city
s-
look bad.
I wish I could have spoke to you when I went into the city and said these buildings need occupants. They're impossible to manage unless you have people in there and have them done. Give me a permit. Let me get that building ready so we can put people in there. And they turned me down. At that time, we needed people in there. This problem, like you said, has been a couple-year problem. It didn't start today. And the problems that make it keep happening didn't stop. We need a comprehensive plan to make that thing. There need to be people living in those buildings.
You also
They're
are in the
made-
business to know that one small problem just snowballs and it's become a
Well,
big
certainly
issue
it
because the
does.
smaller
Yes.
problems weren't addressed.
That's why we roofed the top of it, because the roof was getting bad. We stripped it, roofed the top of it, started painting the outside, and stole my shingles.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I can't sleep everywhere at night. I'd be sleeping all
I
over town.
understand. I think it's time something has to happen on it. So.
I agree with that. But I think a plan that makes the building functional, that makes it an asset for the city rather than a liability, is the plan that I think we need to be looking for.
But why does it take us assessing so many fines to start down the path of that plan?
Why is phase five for Lee Valley not?
Well, I can't speak to
Well,
that.
you're
I'm not in
asking me
that.
why things don't get done here?
No, I'm
I can
asking why
answer
this
some of those
specific
questions.
building isn't being addressed. I said, why isn't this specific building isn't being addressed?
Oh. Because I got turned down a building permit and there wasn't any work to make that go, because I think the city's plan was to get rid of that building. And that might be an eyesore, but that's a building that's been part of that corner since 1900s.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that could be an asset for the city, not a liability. But I need the city to look at it from a contractor's point of view and help me. I'm not asking you guys for money.
Nope, but right now, we need to look at it as
I will
opposed to
board
these
the windows
violations and the 820 unsafe building and getting those taken care of. Right, we need the overall
Yes.
big picture, sewers, overall big picture, getting somebody in there, but that's not where we're at right now. We're discussing a resolution and a motion that's on the floor. Sir, do you have any questions, concerns?
After the 60 days, are the fines,
Would start again.
no, they would be retroactive.
Oh, that didn't
I'm saying
sound
if
like
it's
what
not
was,
completed by 60 days, are they retroactive? So that puts the,
that didn't sound like what the motion was, but,
I just was clarifying.
yeah.
It's just eliminating those, or it's just holding them until said?
Holding the existing fines, and then if
In other words, basically stopping the clock while that happens, and then the clock
Okay.
starts back up. If it doesn't.
That's all I wanted to clarify.
You done? Couple additional questions then. Mr. Stites, because I know the 30, 60-day issue. I would assume before he comes back to a council meeting, you would need to have time to review any plans or any potential work he may have done on the structure.
Right.
Be able to report to us. So I can understand going a little bit more than 30. The only thing I might add is that when you build new homes, do the residents move in before that house is completed?
Not normally.
My question then is, why do you say you had to have residents in there before you could actually do any work to secure this property?
I didn't say that.
That-
I said to manage and maintain that building, it takes people living there and constant looking.
I know, but that's my saying, is you build houses all the time and you don't have people living in those homes until you actually
Occasionally.
finish it. But my point is that these things could have been secured without somebody living there.
We secured them, and they take the plywood off and pry it off the deal, and they actually sleep in there and move stuff in.
Right.
People without vehicles, I don't know how they move so much stuff. We got another spot back on the other corner, and we've hauled truckloads of stuff. Unless those guys are carrying it on their back, I don't know how they move that much stuff without vehicles. But
Well,
somebody moves.
sorry to cut you off, but back to the 30, 60 days then. Because Mr. Stites will need a little bit of time to review anything that you come forward. Maybe kind of cut the difference and maybe go with that February 27th council meeting, which would be 3 council meetings out, which would be about approximately 45 days. And see if that might, if that's okay, then we can always amend the motion accordingly, so. I yield for right now.
Comment. Constituents, neighbors, I live kind of in that neighborhood, and a lot of people know that I'm city councilman, and they'll talk to me, and I have heard this from several people. Mr. Tyner builds a nice house in this, okay? They just want something to happen up there on that corner up there, because for years it's been an unsightly thing, and so the neighbors really, really want that taken care of post haste.
Okay. So.
Can I say something? I agree with that.
Good.
I wish I would have had you go with me to the city to say, give this man a permit. We want people in that thing, and we want that corner. It takes money to do the things that I do. And when I went in to get a permit and redo that building, I needed the help from the city, say, what can we do to make it work? There's certain rules here you gotta go by, but let us get your permit and let you know what you gotta do.
Mr. Tyner, I'm really curious. I've heard you mention, people, not giving you the permit. When? I can't imagine.
Well, how long?
I can't imagine our staff.
5 to 7 years I went in to get that permit.
5 to 7 years.
Well, then I was wrong about my predictions, because the 12,000 a year, 5 years is 65,
I'm not worried about
65 or 70,000. I deal with money, because money builds houses and money repairs property. So
But
I have to look at it from a realistic point of view.
And from a builder's standpoint, do you feel that the existing facility that you have, the existing building there, is adequate, is appropriate for our community? Is it something that, as you mentioned, it's been there since the 1900s? And I've seen a lot of buildings, as you have, as everybody sitting here has, that there's a lot that can be done with existing buildings. In fact, you're in one right now. And you being the kind of person where you build a good home, and I know you do, why has that not been a priority? Because it's sitting there, I mean, and Guy, you've known that building looks.
Hey, when a guy gets told no too many times, he gets discouraged.
I get that.
Well,
I don't hear.
we're telling you something else now about that building. So it's come past that no on rehabbing that to whatever.
Do you want me to sell the building? Do you want me to sell it?
No, I want you to make it I want you to make it safe. I want you to take care of these violations. These violations that are what brought you here this evening, and they've been disregarded since September, October, November, and December. And now there's a total citation fee of $1,200. It's come before us this evening to have the unsafe building concerns and that property taken care of. That's what we want done. Would I like to have a duplex and a apartment complex, apartment building perhaps on the corner there? Sure, I'd love for it to look historic and all that. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're not talking about the sewers coming up from Lakewood and Metropolitan, because that's going to be a big ticket item too, because that's a lot of rock going up that hill. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about keeping those holes in the side of that building boarded up, the bricks that are falling off the side of the building. You did some tuck pointing a year and a half ago. There's a lot of tuck pointing needs to be done there, or more than tuck pointing. Those are repairs of bricks that are falling off the side of that building.
They aren't falling off the side of that building. When a guy was tuck pointing, he took 2 bricks down. It's the same 2 or 3
Well,
bricks.
there's quite a bit of stuff that's fallen off the side of that building in that picture.
That was
So
a little dock. Now, I don't know what.
yeah, I don't know either.
Mr.
Make a
Mayor.
Anyway,
list-
those are concerns.
Make
So
a list
let-
for me, give me 60 days.
You already have a list. We're talking about the 60 days right now. If the motion, I'm sorry, the resolution?
I was just gonna, sorry. We do have a drafted resolution. I won't read it in total, but, in essence, what it does say, I think, captures what you all are discussing, which is that, it's a resolution of the governing body ordering the abatement of the unlawful conditions existing at 820 North Nettleton Avenue, violation of the city code, so on and so forth. Ultimately, what is being resolved is a time frame for making or abating the nuisances, making the property safe and sanitary within a specified time frame. A suggestion that I might have is that our next council meeting is on, within the time frame you're discussing is February 27th. Mr. Stites has a reinspection, I believe, on the 19th of January, so coming up here. That would give time for him to do those re-inspections. I don't think anybody was discussing the moratorium there. I'm not sure if that would affect the next letter or not, but again, I think ultimately you could pass this resolution tonight, setting the time frame for the 27th, or rather the 26th. That way, then it's the next day. It's ready to go. There's also the potential, if the council wishes, to set a resolution that night for a condemnation hearing. If it's not corrected, ordering it to be effectively condemned and moving forward with removal of the building as well. But again, I just want to make sure you all are aware of your options. There's also the option that you can table this tonight, and that way Mr. Tyner has a little bit more time to see what his options are and present a plan to city staff, and then we can discuss this again at the next council meeting. So again, I just want to make sure everybody's aware what the options are moving forward.
Very good.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to amend my original motion to remove the 60-day window and place the February 26th deadline on having a plan for remediation of these nuisance violations.
Just having a plan, not having them corrected.
I don't have enough personal information to know if it's reasonable to correct them in that time frame.
Okay. Somebody seconded that. Your motion was already seconded. Who seconded the
I
motion?
seconded it originally.
You,
Well, I'd be fine to go ahead and go with the amended version. I'll re-second that.
so the original motion and resolution was made and amended and re-seconded. And that gave, you want to clarify your motion?
To apply a moratorium to any additional funds.
Wait a minute, moratorium, what's that mean?
Stop time.
Okay, so the.
No
the
additional fines will accumulate between today and February 26th.
Okay,
In
very
other words,
good.
inspections need to take place,
Inspections will still take place. We'll work with Mr.
but no
Tyner.
additional administrative citations will be issued through that period of time.
Thank you.
And then at the February 27th council meeting, we will be presented with a plan for complete remediation.
Mr.
Of
Mayor?
these unsafe.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, can I make would it be, I think it might be a little bit more feasible to just allow, if the intent is to eventually waive any fees, you could do that at a later point in time. Just the practicality of a moratorium might be, Mr. Stites can tell me if I'm wrong, but we have one right now that's going through that would happen on the 19th, so there would be additional fees that would be assessed on the 19th, correct? And then you would have another 30 days to correct that. So we're only talking really, well, 2 more administrative citations, which are, I'm trying to think of how this works on the staff
That would be
side.
$1,200
It'd be
additional.
another
So we're trying to
Right,
avoid.
so, yep.
In other words, he gets tagged for the $1,200 right now. I have no desire to waive those.
Yep, okay.
Just talking about at the present time, not stopping the clock on any additional citations.
Right, to
in issue.
include the reinspection that is to occur on the 19th of January.
But to still do the reinspection.
Yep.
Yes, from today through February 26th.
Does this make sense, Chris?
I think so. Let me read this and make sure that it's what you all are looking for. It's a resolution ordering the abatement of unlawful conditions existing at 820 North Nettleton Avenue in violation of the code of the city of Bonner Springs, Kansas, Chapter 7, Article 4, Exterior Property Maintenance, and enacting a moratorium on fines and citations until February 26th, at which time the owner will come forth with a plan to abate the violations.
Or either plan, or hopefully maybe actually having abated the unsafe conditions.
Can I say something?
Please,
You said you
please.
said you have no interest in waiving those fines. We're here where we're at right now because a guy came to the city and got a building permit to try to keep that project moving forward. And there was no interest.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to
Okay,
rope you down because
we're
actually that
causing-
was 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
And we're not talking about 5 or 6 years ago.
All right, then
Although
let's
this has
talk
been a
about
problem
today.
for 5 or 6 years. Let's
Let's
talk
talk-
about today, the
All
unsafe
right, let's
building
talk about
conditions.
today. If you keep those fines on there and take another $1,200, does that take it out of the repair money and us moving forward?
Sir,
If
this-
you need to
these-
do that, do it. I'm just telling you, I think you're causing yourself a problem.
No, it's not
I
my
mean-
property. It's not the city's property. It's not our problem. It's your concern
pass
with
it.
these unsafe building concerns.
I
And
have no more to say. Pass it back
Well,
to me and we're
Mr.
done.
Mayor, if I may interject real quickly, and this is the reason I asked Mr. Stites. So a year prior to that first citation, this all started. There was no effort made to correct anything until those fines started occurring. That's the reason if we waive these fines, it's gonna go back to business as usual, and that building's just gonna sit there. I think there has
I
to be.
think if it's put in there and a specific list of things that is there to be done, and if that's finished and you see progress, you're moving a project forward. If you keep putting fines on it, moves the project back. And you're the councilman, I'm not, I'm a citizen.
I'm not
So
putting,
you need to
that's
put
why
in-
we have the moratorium on additional fines. Because if we continued those fines for that next meeting, you'd have another $1,200, and that's why
Make,
we're.
I think you're not spending your money wisely. And as a citizen, I can say that. I think you need to think about your statement and see if it brings this city forward.
all right, very
And
good.
if it doesn't bring the city forward, lay it on me.
All right, thank you
Sure.
very much. No other, yes, please.
Sorry, one more clarification. Who do you want this plan to be presented to? Because ultimately, I think, again, I'm being too practical sometimes, but
We need to clarify it now.
he needs to present a plan, and to who and by what standard will that plan be reviewed ultimately? That's where I think it goes back to if Guy has mentioned he's got 30 days initially that he could get most of these things corrected, then I would just say, as we had in the initial resolution, sorry. That if the owner fails to abate the nuisance and make the property safe and sanitary within the time period specified, then the code official may take such further action as deemed necessary to abate the nuisance without further notice to the owner or other properties and interests, blah, 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 blah. So in effect, I'm concerned about the practicality of a plan. I think the intent is, maybe I'm misrepresenting it, but my understanding is that most of the items can be addressed within a 30-day time frame. You're extending that 30-day time frame beyond, obviously 30 days. The 26th of February is a Sunday. The 27th would be a council meeting. This item could get added back on to the agenda on the 27th if you so choose, or it could be on there at the beginning. And ultimately, then you could take action on condemnation if you so choose, if it is not corrected at that time. Does that
Mr.
make
Stites,
sense?
do you feel that these items can be abated within a 6-week window?
I don't think Mark can answer that. I'm sorry,
That's okay, I can't answer it, so I don't know exactly what the violations are or what it's gonna take to fix them.
I think it says that it needs, the board needs to be secured and boarded up and falling bricks put back on the building. Is that our list? Is that the list that you guys are wanting right now?
For the
That's up there.
For the nuisance codes and to
Yes.
make the building safe for now, that's what needs to be taken care of for this citation. To make it so it's not blighted, that would take more work and a plan to move forward with some sort of permit. The
Okay.
permit couldn't be issued for both buildings as they are now. They've been vacant for too long. It's residential. It's residentially zoned right now with 2 structures on one parcel. So with both of them being vacant, it would need to go through a planning process to remedy
With the lot
the
split.
planning and zoning.
So these 2 items are what we're really concerned about getting taken care of on the item that's before us tonight.
For the nuisance code violations, yes.
Those can certainly be handled by the end of February.
And again, the other option, kind of, since we're grasping at straws a little bit, is the 19th is the next administrative reinspection.
Okay.
You can table this item until the next council meeting, which would allow Mr. Tyner to get with Mr. Stites and discuss what needs to occur, and ultimately put a plan together. We're talking, a little bit of time here to put a plan together, and then you all can rehear this conversation, and we can have a little bit more put together by way of resolution. That might be the easiest thing, to be honest. Ultimately, at that point, you can still give the additional time to go to February 27th. You're not wasting any time, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you're giving them 2 weeks and then 30 days from the next city council meeting, and I think that's
The next inspection is on the
table it.
19th, our next council meeting is on the 23rd.
Right.
Where we
Yeah.
could then come back and,
So the only thing you're out at that point is the potential for an additional fine to be assessed on the 19th. However, that could be reviewed as part of the
at the
resolution.
23rd.
Correct, yep.
I withdraw my original motion.
And I'll withdraw my second.
And now I'd entertain a motion to table this.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to table this topic to the January 23rd city council meeting.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Questions, concerns? We'll start down here. Tabling this issue?
Tabled into.
Oh, no discussion on tabling? All those in favor, or vote please on tabling this item.
Voting on a motion to table the item until January 23rd city council meeting. Shannon?
I'm at a loss. Why are we tabling it? I mean,
If we-
this is obvious what's been happening over the years.
Right. On the 23rd, the next city council meeting, it'll either be abated, they'll be safe, or we'll have this motion to come back to us and give them 30 days to take care of it.
Okay. The fines right now are not being abated.
Nope.
Okay. Is there a moratorium on the fines from this moment until the next council meeting? So the
Nope.
fines are
It's still $1,200. It'd be $1,200, and we're going to have another inspection on the 19th, and they'll come, and that's when the next fine would be, and we'd be addressing that next fine.
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Reeves?
No.
Motion passes.
Very good. Sounds to me like you have a reprieve until the next city council meeting to get those unsafe conditions abated and we're going to look at it then.
I hear you.
Okay, very good. On to the next item, which is another codes violation administrative citation appeal for 13852 Kansas Avenue. Staff?
On this one, it is a concrete washout area up in Lee Valley. You can see pictures over on the left of all of the concrete debris that was there. It has since been cleaned up for the most part, as you can see on the right-hand side.
And the fines and the schedule were the same as the Nettleton property. I do all my violations on the same day, so everybody's at the same time. So those were all the same amount of time for this property as the Metro property also. I can read them again if you guys need me to.
No, the 1st, the 4th, the 15th of November, the 19th of December, right? Okay. All right, and you wanted to speak to this concern too, Mr. Tyner?
I wanted to get the fines alleviated, that got done completely away with. That washout, there was a washout in every phase of Lee Valley. There's been 3 phases of Lee Valley. There's 194 houses that were built up. The washout changed from phase 1. Phase 1, it was in phase 2, and then the washout that's presently there lasted through the other 190 houses. And the washout, the purpose of the washout is that all the mess is created in one spot and you don't distribute it through the subdivision. So we designated a spot, and it was on land that was agriculture land. And we put it in there, and nobody told us to move the first one. Nobody told us to maintain the last one. We piled that stuff up and maintained it as we went through. The land was zoned residential. The land has reverted back to agriculture now, agriculture land. And I don't know why are we so concerned on it?
When was the last time you used it for washout?
Oh, I bet it was a year and a couple months.
So it's been 14, 15 months since it's been used and set like that for 14 to 15 months. And now this is called cleaned up. When did that happen?
That is cleaned up.
When did that happen?
2 weeks ago.
Day
2 weeks.
after you appeal.
We have a large machine that works on a job, and when he came through, I had him come up and bring that big machine. It cost me about $1,500, and he came.
Is that a barrier there that's at the end of the road? Is that?
Those are 2 rocks laying there. We're going to paint them orange, and we actually moving the agriculture fence from up against the deal, and we're going to plant seed on that, and it's going to be agriculture.
Has that been graded?
Yeah, it's graded.
I went up there and inspected it while
I called him twice and gave him.
and he asked about putting rocks there to keep people from going into the field and everything. And I said that wouldn't be an issue with putting some.
They were spray painting the rocks that were there, putting graffiti and stuff on it, and I told him it's gonna, but those rocks are laying there now. They'll be painted, the ends of them will be painted orange, and there'll be a 2-wire, barbed wire, electric fence that goes from the turnpike and comes all the way across Valley View, past Richland, and then past Knipp Street, and connects into the other pasture land that's over there. But there's other problems, and you guys, I don't know if you're interested in this, but the Valley View storm sewer empties out just, did you go back in there and look at any of that? Okay. But the Valley View storm sewer, when we put it in, we extended it about 60 or 70 feet so that if a new phase were brought in there, that we wouldn't be digging right up next to the street and all that. So just back at where that tree line is there's a big deep hole, and it's about 12 feet deep, and that's a storm sewer that comes down Valley View and
138th Street and dumps into that line and goes down and goes under the turnpike in a drainage ditch. So we have to be kind of careful of that. And on Richland, we had to extend the sanitary sewer into the property from Richland. From Knipp Street.
So the washout was over the storm drain?
No, the storm drain was just behind it. And when you do those phases, what you end up doing, you take your washout, your extra rocks and all those, and you accumulate them in one spot. When you move to your next phase and start building it, you take those rocks and you use them for deep fill, and they compact them in so that you can build streets and stuff over it. That's why that was maintained like that there. We came to the city, I don't know when, a year?
More than 14 months ago.
Probably four. Yeah. Was that when we came?
Well, that's what it said, how long that had been unused, set for 14 months, we
built the last house in Lee Valley on 138th Street probably 12 months ago. Well, 14 months.
All right.
But then, is there a rule on washouts, how often they need to be? We waited quite a while when we finished phase 1. We were doing phase 2, and that washout wasn't used. When did the rule come into effect? That's agriculture land now, because they gave me 1 year to get it zoned residential.
Back in September of last year, September 1st, you were given a fine for exactly what?
It was a courtesy violation notice for having the washout outside storage, pretty much is what it was for, to get that removed back then.
So yeah, there is a rule, and that was when you were made aware of it.
But what's the rule on agriculture property? When you guys set that up for residential property, you gave it a 1-year window, and it automatically dropped off, and it went back to agriculture. So when that dropped off and went back to agriculture, now, is it residential land or is it agriculture land?
It still can't have clean out stored on it.
Whether it's residential or if it's commercial or it's agricultural, you can't have that kind of stuff on any of the properties. So that's.
So in other words, if I'm looking to do phase 4, 5, and 6, which is another 110 units up on Kansas Avenue and that, we've lost our deal. So now, when we start, what can we do? What's the rules on what you can do when we start building those roads and getting that?
I'd imagine your development plans will address that.
You know, we had, when I did phase 1 of Lee Valley, they came up there and shut me down, and the mayor and
rope you back in again, and we're going to talk about this specific.
I'm talking about development.
Right, and I'm talking about 138, 52
And if you want the development to happen,
Kansas
we
Avenue.
need to open our ears and listen to what's being said. You don't have to listen to me.
Well,
you don't have to do
development-
anything
all
for me.
development
But
is
here's the thing you
improved
need
when
to do.
there's
If you
not
want
lighted
development out of me and people coming in here, this council's going to have to educate themselves about development and get on the bandwagon.
You are 1,000% correct.
Okay,
and
thank
one
you.
of the first things we have to do is keep the city clean and do those things that have to be done. And 14 months is too long to be sitting at that, looking out the window at new development. So that's why we're here. It started back in September and has continued until now. And there hasn't been anything done until the assessments got up to, on this property,
those
$1,200.
Those people you're
Yes,
talking
ma'am. Yes, sir.
If I could interject something
Please.
quickly. I actually started this conversation with Mr. Stites in April of '21 because I was contacted by a constituent. Mr. Stites at that time went out and reviewed that property. In November, I reached out to him, and he said that he was, with Mr. Stites, he said that he'd been having discussions with Mr. Tyner. This is in November of '21. Had discussions, he was going to start cleaning it out, but it doesn't appear he's going to clean it out, and he's going to probably have to start administrative citations. So this is going back not just since this last fall. This is another one that's been almost 2 years that he's been aware of it.
All right,
I hear you.
very good. I would then entertain a motion to adopt a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt a resolution based on the determination of the government body and at the conclusion of the hearing.
Can I interrupt real quick, please?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. We have two resolutions pre-made here. One, very simply, one of them states that let me find it here real quick. Sorry. Pull out the right ones. That the citation was appropriate and the fines were appropriate and acknowledges that it has been abated. The other one states that the citation was appropriate, the fines were appropriate, it's been abated, and therefore the council wishes to waive the fines. So we can, those are your options. So
What was the first one?
the first one is that it stands as cited with the fines.
That is, I will,
Well, say, do you want to
make
read?
a motion to approve the request, let me see, here we go.
If you just
Make
read
a-
the top of that.
A resolution of the government
Turn your
body.
mic on, please.
Thank you. A resolution of the governing body of the city of Bonner Springs, Kansas, ordering the abatement of unlawful conditions existing at 13852 Kansas Avenue, Bonner Springs, Kansas, in violation of the code of the city of Bonner Springs, Kansas, 2021, Chapter 11, Article 4, Exterior Property Maintenance. I read it.
I think you just need to specify that the items have been corrected and you wish to assess the fines as, assess the
Issued.
fines.
Yeah, which was number one. Okay, yes.
So moved.
So, thank you.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded. And since you have it, can you reread that motion? Chris?
Motion to adopt a resolution stating that declaring unlawful conditions, let me find the right one here, hold on, sorry. Exist and directing the nuisance be abated and made safe and sanitary.
No.
And that's with the fines.
Yeah, because that's all we had.
That's with the fines.
That's with the fines in place. Okay. All right, so the motion is to adopt a resolution. Gonna have to combine these two. Finding that unlawful conditions existed and that the owner satisfactorily abated the nuisance and the fines are to be assessed.
So moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments concerning that motion? Sir?
Nothing extra.
No?
No.
Very good. No questions, concerns, comments. Vote, please.
Reeves,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Kip,
Yes.
Gurley,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Shannon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Thank you, and I appreciate it, Mr. Tyner. Thank you. On to number 3, sole source request for aerator mixed unit replacement. Staff?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Frank Abart, Public Works Director. This is a request before you today for sole source for a plant aerator mixer for the wastewater treatment plant. It's a rather large piece of equipment that's been in service for over 30 years. And I will say that the current wastewater plant has 2 of these. And last year, almost at exactly the same time, I was before you and you approve the purchase of one, which the first pieces of that are supposed to arrive tomorrow. So that's how long it takes to get this stuff. And so that's another reason why it's so important to be ordering it and getting it in the process and getting it here before you have a catastrophic failure of some of that old stuff. Essentially, the price is another 10% higher. The total amount of this equipment is $195,210. That does not include removal of the old or installation of the new, but we do have adequate funds budgeted for this in the 2023 budget in the line item for this particular replacement. It has been endorsed by the city engineer, who's reviewed what we're doing and why, and essentially we want to construct exactly what's there so that we're not rebuilding or doing anything different. We want to take the old out, hopefully before it fails, and put in the new. So this would be a reproduction of what's going in there, with the exception that the motor itself will probably be a variable speed drive, so it'll be more efficient.
Very good. Any other staff? No. Very good. Citizens, concerns, questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve a request for sole source procurement with Ovivo USA LLC in the amount of $195,210, and authorize the city manager to execute the document.
I'll second.
So moved by Mr. Reeves and seconded by Mrs. Gurley. Questions, concerns, comments, and we'll start down here, sir.
Nothing here.
This one that we are expecting tomorrow, how long?
Pieces of it.
Yeah. How long do you expect it to be in service?
Well, I would probably hope several decades, but.
No.
Oh,
when
how
will
soon
it?
will
Yeah.
it
How
be?
soon will it be?
We will have all the pieces except the motor. And the motor they expect to show up before the end of the month. So
And then how long?
I'm
to
going to
put it
say in February it should be in service.
Oh, February. So it doesn't take long to install, and whoever installs that one should be able to install the next one.
That's correct.
Very good.
When it arrives in a year.
And are these two pumps the weak link in our system?
There are two that you have to have. You have to have one that operates, and you have to have one for redundancy for in case it fails.
Right.
And so
So
if we can get the new one in replacement, that would be just fantastic. I'll be breathing a lot easier and sleeping a lot better.
So with these two new pumps, the life expectancy of that treatment plant is extended significantly.
Yes, it's definitely extended, yes. There's other components of the plant that need
Right.
work. But
Yes.
these are big ones.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you. Yeah.
Is it going to, are there going to be any hours without water?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, just at Lake of the Forest. Yeah, listen to that.
I think you just answered this, but I want to make sure I heard the right thing. We only have 2 of these pumps total?
Well, yes, they're aeration devices, yes, there's 2 of them at the plant.
Yes, thank you. And they will be incorporated into the new plant design? Oh,
This is
sewer.
wastewater.
This is
Yeah,
wastewater.
don't confuse wastewater with
This is wastewater.
Yeah.
Roll that back. Roll that back. I did read the documentation, I really
But it
did.
is important, yes. We have a bypass,
Put one in each hand, they're both
plan
important.
figured out
Right,
for this.
exactly. You know. My mind gets stuck on that new water treatment plant. You said that we have enough budgeted to cover the,
Removal of the old and installation of the new.
that's what I wanted
We have
to hear.
$250,000 for this line item, and this is gonna expend
So
$195,210.
Approximately $55,000 will cover the removal and installation.
Yes,
Beautiful, thank you.
we anticipate it.
I didn't quite catch it when the mayor was asking you, when do you believe this one would actually get delivered? It'd be a year, you think?
It's took a year for the first one, so.
And then the variable motor, does it automatically adjust its speed based upon the flow that's in there?
Exactly,
Or
yes. so we
Okay.
can speed up or slow down. The
But it doesn't have
current
to be
ones,
controlled by staff. It's,
no. You know, technology is great when it works, of course, but.
and then the old philosophy is out of smell, out of mind, right? Just checking.
I don't think you'll get out of smell down there, but,
And with that, Mr.
the current equipment is either off or it's on, so it's either running full blast or it's off.
Right.
And that's hard on the equipment, but it's
But the
not,
variable
it's
speed
not the way to
is
do it
automatically
now.
detects
Yeah,
the flow.
yeah.
30 years is pretty darn. Sir?
Nothing else here.
Very good. No other questions, concerns, comments. Vote, please.
Voting to approve the request for sole source procurement in the amount of $195,210 for the aerator mixer unit. Long,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Kip,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
Gurley,
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very
Thank you.
good. Thank you. Best of luck. On to item number 4, which is sweeter smelling child care sustainability grant.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Justine's Peace, Recreation Manager. Before you tonight is the request to approve funding or to approve the expenditure of a grant that we recently received for Camp Great Adventure. It was for an additional $37,000 for Camp Great Adventure. We're super excited about that. In talking with the camp director, Patty, and general staff, we are hoping to use these funds to renovate the Bison Room further, to include a new sink, countertop, and also storage options for that room. That room is utilized as the camp craft area. Any additional funds that are left over from that renovation project, we would hope to use for renovating the restrooms.
Very good. Thank you. Any other staff? Citizens? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I want to do this. This is wonderful things. I make a motion to approve allocating the Child Care Sustainability Grant funding in the total amount of $37,000 as presented, because there was some neat scholarships. I mean, you know, I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
Second.
So moved by Mrs. Woods and seconded by Mr. Shannon. And we'll start right here with questions, concerns, or comments. Nothing else?
I just think it's wonderful.
Very good.
Thanks for getting more funding. I was curious about the flooring being so different than what we anticipated. Was that a supply chain increase or something different?
I honestly couldn't tell you on that one. The original quote that we got was a year old, so the quotes that we got coming in for it was a lot higher than anticipated, but the grant covered it, so we went forward.
Great job.
Just a quick question. Fortunately, we don't have the document available. Our service provider has given us some issues, but, there we go. The name of the room where the funding was, a lot of this is being used for. What's that?
Bison and Honeybee
No,
Room.
there was another, the Bison. Where's the Bison room at? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Okay, the Bison Room is downstairs in lower level, so you know where the restrooms are when you down the stairs to the right is the restrooms, to your left down that hallway, that's actually where the Bison Room is located at, and it is only used for Camp Great Adventure as their craft room, so we don't open that room up to the public at all.
So when you come down the steps, it's to the left?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Storage or whatever for
Yep.
cleaned out.
I already knew where the Bison Room was, so no question.
Sir?
Good job.
Okay. Anything else? Nope.
Just telling Justine, good job.
No other questions, concerns, comments? Vote, please.
Wood,
Yes.
Gurley,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
Kip,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Reeves.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. On to item number 5, which is another exciting item this evening, the Kansas Rehabilitation Tax Credit bid award. Staff?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tilly LaPlante, Finance Director. This has been a long process, which began with the building of renovation of this building. Because it's on the historic registry, it qualified for historic tax credits. And we were told in October that we had $7,071,000 in tax credit and qualified rehab costs, and we're allowed to get 25% tax credits for those. Because we're a tax-exempt organization, we can sell the tax credits to a for-tax organization to use to offset their Kansas income tax. So we put it out for bid, and we got 5 bids, and the best bid was 94.9411 on the dollar. So the city will get $1,663,846.92 in tax credits. The attorney is drawing up the purchasing agreement, but the dollar amount, we had 30 days from when we took bids, which was our last council meeting on the 19th. So we wanted to get council approval of accepting that bid and then authorizing the city manager to sign the purchase agreement. Any questions?
Very good, thank you. Any other staff comments? Citizens? I think balloons and streamers should be falling down from the sky. This is quite significant. Yeah, of the $7,071,924 of qualified rehabilitation costs,